All right, going live in three, two, title experience, episode number 15. And we got Anna again on tonight. How you doing, Anna?
I am doing very well. Thank you so much for asking.
Cool, cool. So I'd like to start off by showing you something that I had to experience earlier this week. I'll get your reaction to it. I didn't tell you what this was ahead of time because I want to
No,
get
we
your,
didn't.
yeah, yeah, I want to get
Elements
your,
of surprise.
yes, I want to get your reaction. I was kind of surprised at what I saw. So I'll go ahead and bring it up here. I went to prepare my eggs the other day, and this is, lo and behold, this is what came up when I went to do this. Um, this was the egg I had.
Oh,
My egg had a nipple. So,
yeah, looks like that. What the hell?
so, um, I posted on the YouTube channel. We got 413 likes so far and a
Oh,
variety of
nice.
comments about that. So, um, I was a little surprised. If I had a pair of them, it'd probably look a little funnier, but still.
Yeah, yeah. Well, still one. That definitely looks like a perfectly placed nipple.
The and also jumping down to the question I had a few days ago. I don't think you saw this question yet. I'll go ahead and ask you this. Shorts or pants was the question I asked. And let me go through the responses before you respond. I said the first response is I like to wear pants. Shorts are good for me. I just like to walk around in my underwear. The fourth response was I thought we get more people responding to it was neither. I like to wear skirts and dresses. And the final answer is I don't care.
I think I would probably say shorts are good for me.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised. Maybe because we just don't have enough female listeners as of yet right now. I thought maybe the skirts and dresses one would get a higher response. But the in fact, one of the people that responded said the same thing. They were kind of surprised they didn't get a higher response on that one.
The skirts and the dresses. I think most girls like to wear shorts around the house or underwear. That
Hmm,
would be my guess.
gotcha. Now, just in case you're wondering, I wear pants all the time.
Really?
And
Not even
yeah,
basketball shorts?
nope, no. I last time I wore shorts, I can't remember the last time I wore shorts. The problem is I have very fair skin, so even in the summertime, I tend to wear pants and long sleeve shirts out in the summertime.
But
Uh,
even when you're in your home most of the time?
oh, in my home, I guess the correct answer for that would be I just walk around in my underwear then.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense. That's more normal, actually.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When I go outside, though, yeah. Sorry, I was thinking about when I go to work and when I
Oh, well, either way, I prefer shorts. That's why I live in Florida. So,
but you are in the 12% range. So 12% of the people that responded agree with you. I'm in the 69% category for, well, if I go out, and in the 5% category if I just stay at home. So
there you go. Yeah, no, I definitely prefer shorts at all times. You know,
cool.
I like to live in a place that's warm where I don't need to wear pants. So,
Gotcha. All right. Well, did you happen to see Joe Biden's, what was it, press? What would he do today? He addressed
press conference. So funny you said that. When you sent me the link to go online, I was watching it because I wanted, because it's buzzing right now. It's topical news. I did see the massive gaffe about, I can't even remember what he said. He didn't know what he was saying. He stopped, he paused. He seemed to get frustrated with himself. And it was really funny because today, by chance, I was reading this article about what it's like to have dementia. And it seemed like it was kind of corresponding to Joe Biden's demeanor, where, he's not completely gone, but he certainly is mentally defunct, and he gets like frustrated. And I kind of also remember anecdotally, my grandmother had Alzheimer's before it got really, really bad. you know I would say early to moderate. She would often get really, really frustrated because she can kind of feel herself slipping, but it's like you come in and out of it. And much like kind of like sobriety, almost like coming in and out of like um lucidness, if that's even a word. But yeah, I caught it, and it's not good.
no,
Not
yeah,
good at all.
yeah. My dad is probably a couple years younger than, how old is Biden? How old is he right now?
78, I
Okay,
want to
so
say.
my dad's about 3 or 4 years younger than Biden.
Okay.
So He and when I go to see him at a, it's I notice like my dad has a problem comprehending sometimes what I'm saying to him. It's noticeable, especially since like say 20 years ago, like he was a lot more alert. It's not really bad, but I would say Biden is a lot worse. But even so, it's like my whenever I talk to my dad, he'll ask me to repeat what I said, or he just gives me this weird look like he doesn't understand what I just said sometimes. Not a
He's just
lot.
befuddled.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, yeah. It's like I'm not trying to say it's bad, but it's definitely noticeable. So,
Right.
and I'm thinking to myself, Biden's like 3 or 4 years older than my dad, and like this, that's not really good. How old is Trump? Isn't Trump about the same age as well?
I want to say Trump is 74 and he'll be 75 this week. I can double check. Or not this week, sorry, this year. I sound like Biden. Let's see. I'm pretty
He's-
sure 74 because they were both really, really old.
They were because Trump seems to be more whenever he speaks, he always seemed to be more in control.
Oh, yeah, he's 74. He'll be 75 this year.
Okay, was he born in 45?
46.
46. Okay. So the he it obviously each person ages differently. So you can't say one person's like this and the other person's like that, and they're going to be this, because they're similar in age. One person could still be completely in control of themselves until they're 100 or so. Who knows? But
Sure.
but still, it's like it's very obvious that something's not exactly right there.
Yeah. It's really bad. I was kind of concerned. I'm like, well, my friend sent that to me. She was like, "Holy fuck!" And I was just like, "Listen, as long as I can go to brunch and go to the beach, like I'm fine. Like I don't need a cognitive president. It's fine. It's cool."
Yeah, it is scary though, and it's I'm I'm not sure. And the other thing that scares me even more is possibly the vice president taking over.
Oh, what scares you about that? I'm curious.
She just as she her whole when they were on the debate, they had that thing where she was very much in favor of busing from the 1970s. Um, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. That's like nobody liked busing. I mean, what other archaic things is she going to do? That would, and she was like condemning Joe Biden during the initial debates about how he didn't support busing, and I'm like, well, that's a good thing. Um,
I thought busing, now correct me if I'm wrong. I did look it up, but I've since kind of forgotten. Wasn't that to kind of integrate schools? So they were like busing kids from, say, predominantly Black and Hispanic areas to predominantly white schools. And is that what the term busing, quote, busing means, right?
Yes, yes. So yeah, like so basically it was based solely on race, and what you would do is you'd have it's in order to integrate, and so the school wasn't completely one race or another. You would
Yeah.
bus the students from one area that had a high race, one race, predominantly one race, to the another area that was another predominantly higher in a certain race. So they would be integrated, and it's nonsense. It does,
So
in
well,
my opinion.
how do you feel about it? I like, I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit. Would you just prefer like student choice, like each student should be able to go to whatever school in the area they want to go to, like?
Yeah, actually, I would.
Okay.
No, it's kind of funny that you say that because the county I grew up in was Fairfax County in Virginia, and I lived near the city of Fairfax, and my parents moved, and there's a town called Reston. And I was that's where my legal address was for a while, which was about at least 10 miles away. But I still had the choice of going to the same high school I'd gone to for the past because the high school I went to was a 6 year school from 7th to 12th grade. So
Okay.
what I did was I wanted to complete my final year at the same school. So the county allowed me to continue going to that school, even though I was not in that district, even because
Interesting.
so
Okay.
I did have the choice, but I don't think all counties allow that. So
Interesting. Um, yeah, I'm trying to think how I feel about busing. I mean, I suppose if children wanted to go to a specific school and the only way they could get there was by bus, but it seems like it was kind of like arbitrary and forced. Like
yeah,
this was the school you have to attend, forced
it-
integration, right?
yeah, that's all. It was definitely based on race.
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't about the child's choice. Like I want to go to school, like a black child saying I want to go to a predominantly white school, or vice versa.
Yeah,
It was just
okay.
It was basically the
Kind of
idea.
forced immigration. Okay, I see.
Yeah,
I see.
yeah, integration. Yeah, so that they, yeah, and but it failed, and it completely failed, and they stopped doing it. They don't do it anymore. And
Okay, right,
if we had a
right.
vice president that still supports that, I mean, that's archaic. That's
Does
unbelievable.
he still support it, or did he support it at the time?
No, 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 no. It was Harris that supported it, the vice president. What's her name?
Oh, she support.
Kamala.
Okay, Kamala. Okay,
Yeah, she supported
okay.
it. Sorry, yeah, and
I'm
then
just trying to think because, like, when she went to school, I mean, when she was in elementary school, it's probably what, like the 70s, 80s, maybe early 80s, something like that.
was probably the
Um,
70s. Yeah, I think that's
70s,
when it was.
yeah. Uh, I mean, if that was like the only way she could get to a better school, I don't know. I'm just trying to think, like, maybe that's what they wanted, an opportunity to go to a school that was more fluent or had more resources. But I understand. Listen, I'm not one for race baiting and doing things based on color alone, so I understand. But yeah, she definitely went for the jugular when they were debating. And then once she became the VP pick, I just remember her. She has a very sinister laugh.
Yes.
And so when questioned about it, she's like, "It's a debate. You're supposed to do that." And it's
Yeah.
like, "Ugh," like you basically called him a racist. Like that's not them fighting words. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like you just said this was a bad or wrong idea. I distinctly remember during that busing, she was kind of trying to pin him as like a racist because he didn't want to integrate the schools that way. So
Right, right.
it's
Yeah.
interesting. But now she's his VP pick, so clearly she doesn't really think he's a racist, like, or doesn't care if he is. So whatever.
I kind of feel it's like who was the other the Republican woman that ran for vice president?
Sarah
What's
Palin,
Sarah Palin? Yeah, after they lost, there was it was who's he's dead
John
now.
McCain.
McCain, yes. Um, he afterwards, I remember something to the effect that he said he actually hated her or something like that. Um, and he at least not maybe hated her, but hated the fact that she was with him. It was like forced upon him. I wouldn't be surprised if Biden were to say something like that. If he could be honest, I would imagine it's probably the relationship between the two of them. The working relationship is probably something like that. They just do it because they're trying to present themselves in some way, and they probably really hate each other behind closed doors.
Sure, and you also have to remember that, like, Obama was running, which he became the first black president, so they really kind of had to spice it up with a woman to seem kind of progressive as well, because it seemed like that was going to be really very much in his favor, Obama being black and stuff like that. And I think all of the, like, polls and everything were pointing in that direction, that people were like, there was a lot of enthusiasm behind Obama running, and then you have this old white guy. They're like, well, fuck, how are we going to spice this up? All right, let's get a chick in there. So that's probably how that went. It's all for optics. You know how it goes.
Yeah. No, of course, no, you probably don't remember, and this is getting a little off topic, but back in '84, I forget the woman who ran for vice president.
I was
Um,
-3, so I don't remember. But I should know because it's history. But I don't know
yeah,
who.
that failed. Nobody wanted that at the time. I don't know if it was because she was a woman though. I just think that Reagan was immensely popular. So
It was on the Democratic side, I'm assuming, obviously.
yes, yeah,
Okay.
that was the first time officially a woman had run in that position as a party, a larger party. I mean, there have been women that have run as for president and vice president, but not on a big party before.
Oh, okay.
So like as independents in the past is what I mean.
Sure.
But yeah, and I can't remember her name now. But yeah, I'm not to discourage. I don't really remember very much. All I remember is that nobody really wanted them, and it's not. I She might have been a good person for all I know. It was the Democrats. They during the '80s,
Sure.
they
It
weren't
just
as
didn't
bad as
go
they are.
well.
Yeah, yeah, yes. The Democrats didn't get really bad until more recently. So, but I can't remember her name. It's not a big deal though. But anyway, what else would you like to discuss? We had some articles here that you had sent me. We can go ahead and bring some of these up here. I'll go ahead and bring the first one up that you sent, and we can talk about this.
Hmm.
Okay, now this one, here we go. Men say sex is better during COVID-19 pandemic. Women beg to differ. I'm
Well,
bringing.
I went through it because I told you I had just read the title and didn't really know what was in it when we briefly talked a couple days ago. I read it. It's really not that interesting. It just seems to be that like the frequency of couples having sex went up. Again, this is like based on a study with like I don't know 2 or 3 thousand people, so not that much. But I guess because people are home more, they're having sex more, and men just kind of I guess reported that as better because more sex for them is just better. But women, I guess when they were asked about satisfaction, did not. It didn't seem like the pandemic was really doing anything for them.
Hmm.
Women are stimulated differently on average, obviously than men, emotionally and verbally and things like that. Where men are just kind of tend to be a bit more visual and just got to get it in and they're good to go. So
The as far as the title, I guess it's more like what you call like a almost like a clickbait title. Then I guess just to
yeah,
okay.
certainly. But I mean,
The
it was like a real study that was done. I mean, there's surveys, which is like the lowest form of science in my opinion, just because people lie and especially if it's not anonymous, like they people if it's face to face and they're asked to fill out a questionnaire, it's like okay, there's so many problems with that. Like the best you can do with a survey is anonymous and get as many people to participate as possible, but
yeah,
it's kind of
I
like
agree.
pop science, but
I agree about the survey, but sometimes people do conduct more scientifically accurate surveys. They ask key questions to weed out the answers. And so it doesn't become too much weighted one side or the other. So
mhm.
yeah, but you're right. It could be a lot of times they'll pick surveys with just to validate what they're trying to prove anyway. So you can't be sure of those. And the other thing that I talking about sex was the apparently in Great Britain, I heard this. Do you know who Carl Benjamin is?
Carl Benjamin.
Yeah, he's a political person. He ran
Oh
for
no.
he ran for MP, which is member of parliament, about a year or two ago. Um, he has a YouTube channel of his own. He used to go by Sargon of Akkad, if you ever heard of that name. Um,
No, I haven't.
okay, he's a big political person. He's very easygoing, very laid back, and he's very he has a very good understanding of the English language. He's very articulate, is what I mean to say. He can speak very eloquently.
Gotcha.
So if you ever watch him, I think you would probably like him if you had a chance to watch him. Anyway, I do watch his show. He has a new show that he calls the Lotus Eaters, which is based on based on based on Homer, based on a work by Homer, the Greek, the I can't remember the ancient Greek story. I can't remember what it's called right now. But anyway, getting off.
Iliad?
What's that?
The Iliad?
No, not the Iliad.
The Odyssey?
Odyssey. Yes, I think that's it. I'm pretty sure that's it.
Boom! There it is. I got you.
um, he was reporting on his show today or yesterday that it's illegal to have sex in Great Britain right now.
Wait, I'm sorry. He wants to make this a law or he's saying it is a law?
It's already illegal to have sex in Great Britain right now, unless you're married.
I was about to what if you're married but you don't live in the same house? Like
Um,
you have to be in the same quarters? Is that
I believe based on what he was saying, there were that you can have you if as long as you're married, you're okay. So, but if you're not married, it's illegal right now to have sex with a person if you're not married to them.
even if you're living with them?
I think so. I
Wait, is
think
this a COVID deal or like what? Why is he?
yes, it's all part of the COVID thing. In fact,
Oh
Great
my
Britain is still under.
god!
Great Britain is apparently under one of the worst lockdowns in the entire world right now. And this is one of the rules that they've put in place. Um, it's like,
No
I,
thanks. Not that I'm doing anything, but that's ridiculous. You can't. How are you going to control that? You
I,
can't do
I know.
it.
I assume that's I assume that's for homosexual couples as well. I did,
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
the lockdown apparently is so bad that you're not allowed to have you're not allowed to have booze, no drinks, no beer. That might be restricted to a certain time of day though. I'm not sure exactly how that's
What?
supposed
Wait,
to.
whoa, 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 whoa. If you, so, but you can buy it and you can't drink it in your home.
Yeah, I don't I think I don't understand. I don't know if it's like a prohibition, like you can't buy it after a certain time. Maybe that's what the case is. I'm not
That
sure.
is
I'm not
just
getting my
what a
but
nightmare.
what does that what does that have to do
I
with
don't know.
COVID? And the other thing is the curfew. They have curfews where you can't go out beyond a certain time. I'm like, what does that have to do with anything?
Oh my God. Get out of here. That's
So,
ridiculous.
but yeah, if you have a chance, you could probably check him out sometime. I would definitely recommend. He's one of the few political people that I still listen to. Sometimes he goes a little bit too far on the conservative side for me. I'm
Yeah, it
more
sounds like it.
I'm more middle of the road. Well, he's against all this. I'll just let you know he's firmly against it. So
Oh, okay, okay. I thought you said he was pushing for it.
no, sorry. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, no, he's all against this. He's basically showing how ridiculous how the United Kingdom is going with this whole COVID stuff.
That seems crazy that the conservative guy is saying that you sh- that only being able to have sex when you're married is ridiculous. Like you would think it'd be the opposite.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I
But now it seems like conservatives are on the side of freedom and liberty. So they're like you should be able to do whatever you want, but that may include having sex with people you're not married to. That's just so bizarre.
yeah,
So
yeah.
strange.
There's some other rules too. I can't think of off the top of my head. But let me move on to our next story. Oh, okay. I did see this. I thought Ted Cruz takes on, well, it says lefty reporter demanding he wear a mask at a podium. I did see this earlier today. See if I can bring this up. Are you able to hear this?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, when I'm talking to the TV camera, I'm not going to wear a mask, and all of us have been immunized. So you're welcome to step away if you like. The whole point of a vaccine, CDC guidance, is what we're following.
Okay.
He handled that perfectly. He didn't get upset. He didn't start screaming. He just said, "If you're uncomfortable, back up, bitch."
Yeah, yeah. And at first, when I first started like over the past few years, I probably wouldn't have liked Ted Cruz. Oops, let me turn that
Oh.
off. The but over the years, the way his demeanor, the way he handles things, he comes across as even if I disagree with his politics, he
Mhm.
comes across as a pretty decent person. Um, and
He-
the way he handles things is like, he's just a pretty cool, calm person. He doesn't get out. It's unlike like people that tend to be more on the left, or they just if they don't agree with him, they'll just start yelling and screaming. He's like, nope, nope. He gets all calm. Like I'm gonna
Yeah.
tell you
You
my
got to
point
do
of view.
kind of keep your cool. Now, how did you feel about when he escaped to Mexico during the whole snow ordeal, the snowstorm ordeal, I don't think it was a blizzard, but there was snow and Texas basically shut down. You know, that millions of people lost power and, people were hungry. I think even a few people died, like some kids died of like hypothermia, and he just kind of got on a plane and went to Mexico. He came back like the next day, but he was caught at the Houston airport. I'm like, first off, why are you being such a jobber? Don't you have a private plane you can take? Like, why are you going to the Houston airport? But he went and he got spotted and he got outed. How did you feel about that? Him leaving for Mexico?
Well, he's at the federal level. So to me, it was like it didn't really seem that big of a deal, honestly. Um, because if he was with the say the state government, I would say okay, that's more of a big deal. He needs to be there and get everything resolved. But he's at the federal level, so I mean, I'm not saying I'm fully like for what he had done, but I give more leniency because what he does is more for making federal laws and things like and that in that area.
But he
He's not,
represents, and I'm playing devil's advocate again because I kind of, I don't think he deserved all the outrage that he got. It was a bad look.
yeah,
Um, but I mean, if him staying was going to bring on everyone's power, then absolutely. But he decided to kind of fuck off and be like, listen, you would have done the same thing if your power went out and your kids were cold and you're like, let's get the hell out of here. We can afford it. Let's go to Mexico. But what he should have done, I think, is he should have sent the family to Mexico and he should have stayed and handed out water, handed out supplies. Like that would have been a better look. But I
yeah,
don't think anything he did was hypocritical. He didn't tell anybody else like don't leave. He didn't pull like a Gavin Newsom where he's like don't meet with your friends and family for Thanksgiving. Don't be indoors. Don't be maskless. And then he goes to French Laundry in Napa Valley with like 12 people shoulder to shoulder without a mask inside. Like that to me is the most reprehensible thing you can do, where you don't follow the rules that you order everybody else to follow. Like Nancy Pelosi getting her hair done, like same thing. Like that's the most reprehensible thing you can do. Ted Cruz was just kind of like a faux pas. Like it was just like it was a bad look.
Yeah, I agree. That's pretty much how I feel. Like what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't really, I'm not really angry at him or anything. It's like some.
No. I was just like, he could have done better. And then he came back right away, kind of like a little bitch. But whatever. It's fine. It's fine. I don't. A lot of people were like, he should resign. It's like, shut up. If you had the money that he had, and your daughter was cold, he was like, my daughter was like freezing her ass off. You'd be like, let's go to Mexico right now, and that's what he did. So I get it.
So he actually did leave because of the cold weather. I didn't know it was because of that. I thought he was just left because I don't know. I didn't know he actually gave that reason. So.
No, he, like most people in the state at some point lost power. And it was cold, and the whole stuff, many parts of the state shut down. Like supermarkets were down because there was just no power. There was nowhere to get food. My friend ended up spending, I think she went on a trip with her boyfriend there. They were going to go to Miami, and they ended up going to Austin the same week. She lives in New York, so she was trying to escape the cold, goes into the cold. She went out to dinner and got like one plate of pasta, because they didn't have like a lot of supplies. Got one plate of pasta, shared with her boyfriend, and like a salad, and it was like $150. They're price gouging. It was just absolutely bananas. She spent $70 on a sandwich. Like it insane. Because yeah, or they weren't serving people that didn't stay at the hotel. They're like, oh well, if you want dinner, you have to get a room here. And so often, I heard another story where a friend of mine's son had to like just wanted dinner, so he had to buy a room for a night because otherwise he would just be hungry. So he got a hamburger that cost $80. Like it was just crazy.
So he bought a room. So the place he got the room had power, I assume, because the power was not.
Yeah, it had power, but nobody nobody was coming there to visit, and they didn't have any business, and so they had, I think, limited food supply. So they just said, if you want food, you have to be a guest here. It was like at some hotel or a restaurant, attached to a hotel or something. So yeah, pretty crazy stuff.
No, the one time I drove through Texas, I actually drove through twice. Once going from east to west, and back on the return trip from going from west to east.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember on our westbound trip, me and my best friend, we were traveling across country.
Uh-huh.
It was like when we entered the state, it was like 80 degrees. And then it took about half a day to get through it. But about halfway through, the temperature dropped to like 20 degrees. We always assumed it was because it was part of we were the lower end of the plains because it was so flat, and the cold front just came so fast.
Right.
But I don't know if that was a factor as far as why the weird weather. All I know is I kept on hearing that it was just really cold. What was is it just some sort of weird anomaly, a weird weather for?
Just kind of like a freak weather pattern. I think it was something they hadn't seen in like 130 years, something crazy like that. But I mean, it was snowing all over the state. I mean, and Texas is typically a hot place, and this was like 4 or 5 weeks ago, something like that. And it was like 70 degrees, and then the following week it dropped like in the teens. It snowed in many parts of the state, most of the state. And because Texas isn't equipped to deal, it's not Michigan, it's not Minnesota, like those places know how to deal with cold weather. Places like Georgia, places like Texas aren't used to it. I don't know if you remember, it's probably like 6 or 7 years ago, but like Atlanta got like an inch of snow, and the city fucking shut down. Like people were spinning out. Same with Texas. There were all these like pileups like in Fort Worth and maybe Oklahoma as well. But like people don't know how to drive in that weather either. So
Right.
people are driving and they're spinning out and crashing. I think Texas is the only state that has its own power grid, like not federally run. and it just wasn't equipped for that kind of weather. And so like there were just not most, I don't want to say most of the state, but millions of people lost power. Some for like 5 or 6 days, like no hot water, no stove, and then businesses were down because, imagine you go to supermarket, there's no lights, there's no refrigeration, like you can't be open. So it's just crazy.
Yeah, get back to what you said about the people not being able to drive. There is a defense for that though, because like you said, they're not used to getting that much snow. So basically, the Department of Transportation is not used to treating the roads either. So
Right.
like if you're from an area like DC, like I am, the roads are treated so you can drive on the snow without too much of a problem. So the reason a lot of those people are spinning out is one, like you said, they're not used to the snow, but also because the roads are not treated correctly or properly.
Right, like no salt and stuff like that. So
Yeah, yeah. So that's
but
really bad. I live on a private road, and it's about a tenth of a mile long, and it's on a steep hill, and whenever it snows, I'm terrified of driving up and down the hill. So I know what it's like. But the funny part is like if not normally once I get on the main road, I'm fine. I love driving in the snow, no problems at all. That's
oh, I
because
hate it.
so
Absolutely hate it. But yeah, I just remember in Michigan when I first started driving there and it was winter time, and I'm from San Diego, so I'd never, lived in snow in my life. When like everything that's intuitive is you should do the opposite. Like when you're spinning out, you're trying to not contradict, what's the word I'm looking for, you're trying to
counter
intuitively, sorry.
counter steer,
Yeah. So what you're supposed to do is turn, like, you're supposed to turn into the turn,
right?
but what you want to do to counterbalance you spinning in one direction is you want to start moving the wheel in the other direction, which makes it worse.
Right.
So that was another thing. And then I remember like braking when I would like want to slow the car down. What you should do is just like foot off the pedal, the gas pedal, like let the car kind of just come to a stop on its own. If you can help it, go at slower speeds, obviously. But much like I drive in Florida and San Diego, I would just brake. So in the snow, you can't just brake because then you're going to start spinning out. So that was another thing I learned. Like if you want to stop, 200 meters ahead, like foot off the gas pedal right now so you don't have to press the brake at all, really, so.
I tell you my winter storm story from 10 years ago. I was going to
Mhm.
work. I used to work at Clear Channel. I was driving on the Capitol Beltway. Major storm. I decided I was going to go. I'm talking major storm. I was going about at least 50 miles an hour, and I decided I was going to pass everybody that was going slower than me. I pulled
Mhm.
up. The right lane had not been treated yet. There were 4 lanes. I decided I was going to pass everyone. And as I was passing, everything was going fine. Then I hit the brake, and I realized the brake was not working. The car just kept on going. The
Oh no.
it got worse. Then I said, okay. I turned the wheel. The wheel made no difference. The car still kept on going completely straight. I
Oh
turned
my god.
I turned the wheel completely to the left, and the car was still going straight, and I was going 50 miles an hour. I couldn't steer. I couldn't slow down, and I was saying, okay, this is not going to be good. So,
Yeah.
and about 10 seconds later, the car finally caught, and the car, because I had the wheel turned, it started to spin to the left, and I did these major fishtails. And like you're saying,
Oh.
I know how to do the counter spin, so I started spinning a bit of fishtail to the left, then to the right, then to the left. I did it like 4 or 5 times, and in front of a whole bunch of people, and I'm thinking, okay, someone's going to hit me, and nobody hit me. And as soon as I regained control, because I know how to do the counter steering, like you're saying, I really do.
Yeah.
And as soon as I regained control, I gunned it again as fast as I could because I didn't want to get hit by somebody who was trying to slow down and hit, coming up behind.
Sure.
My first reaction is I don't want to get hit. And somebody decided they want to be a real asshole, and they decided to flash their high beams at me like I was doing something. I was doing something wrong, but I was
Yeah.
by going too fast. But what I did to get out of it was the correct way to get out of it. So
Gotcha. Yeah. The one thing I would say, at least where I was in Michigan, people were very forgiving. Like they knew that it wasn't your fault. You're not drunk. You're just, the conditions are bad, and everyone's spinning out. So everyone was really cool, and even when I would start to spin out in the middle of an intersection, like no one's honking or like anything like what happened to you, where someone is like flashing their high beams at me or something. It's like you know the person inside that car's panicked as fuck. So people would just kind of leave you alone and just kind of help you through it, which was nice. But that's the only redeeming quality of Michigan. The people were very nice.
No, I have heard that. I know you're in Florida. I have
Mhm.
heard Florida occasionally does get snow, extremely rare. I would imagine it would probably be very bad where you are if that were to happen.
Yeah, I don't know if Tampa, maybe like Tampa had snow like 100 years ago. Like I don't think it's even been in recent memory. I think in some places I can imagine that, because I was in a place called Ocala, maybe a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, which is about 2 hours north of me, and I mean it got down to like the 30s. So I mean that was very unpleasant, but I mean I imagine if you go farther north even, there's probably like some snow that falls at times.
Yeah, I say, yeah,
But
it's extremely rare. You're like, yeah,
yes, very rare.
it's almost like I'm getting really off the subject here.
That's okay.
The there's a sun flare. I don't know if you've heard about this. I saw this
Mm-mm.
special. What you said triggered this. I saw a special about this a couple of years ago. There's a sun flare incident that in which when this occurs, it will wipe out all electrical devices on the entire planet, and we'll be completely without electricity or our devices at all. Everything will be completely wiped out. Kind of like an EMP, like an electrical magnetic pulse.
Oh,
Um,
how often do sun flares happen?
I don't. It was a specific kind of sun flare.
Uh,
The last one that happened, believe it or not, only about 150 years ago. Um, and what happened was the only electricity that was really around were like telegraph lines and things like that. So they were
right.
affected by it. They were wiped out. But
Yeah.
the show is going on saying it could happen again at any time. It's that nobody is really prepared for it at all. And it was a very scary thing. I mean, this thing could literally, they said, wipe out all electrical devices on the planet.
That would not be good. That
I, I mean,
would
there
not
would
be
be
good at
no,
all.
yeah, I know. And I think the last time it was about like the 1860s. I'm pretty sure that's when it happened last. So like I want to say 1867, but I'm not sure. But yeah, that would be pretty scary.
That would be horrendous. So let's just hope that doesn't happen.
Let me see. Let me go bring up another article that we have here. Bringing this up. Okay. Now, this one is another article that you sent me. A New York gym owner who defied restrictions is offering free memberships for anti-COVID vaxxers. Hmm.
Guy seems kind of like a douchebag.
This seems. I'm not really vaccine. I'm not really one for taking the new vaccine. I don't really get out enough to really worry about it. So, I'm not
Yeah,
really.
I think last time we spoke, I was kind of shocked at like how you like how little you like leave the house or like see other people in real time. Maybe that was the time before. Maybe that was like two podcasts ago.
Yeah.
But I guess because my life, I mean, I'm out every single day, either, 5 days a week for work, and then, I'll go to the gym or whatever. Or like today, I went to downtown St. Petersburg and went for a run, and there's just like tons of people there working out. It was a beautiful day. But you said like it's rare for you to go out. I mean, you go grocery shopping and stuff, I'm sure, but like beyond
Actually,
that, are you
actually,
good?
no. I have not gone grocery shopping since May of last year. So don't.
Okay, so you just get like what is it called?
There's a
Instacart or something?
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly what I do. Yeah, they actually deliver. It's actually cheaper, and I don't have to. I don't have to. It actually saves. It's actually cheaper because I don't have to spend money on gas.
Oh.
And I got spoiled by it. I tried it once. I was like, oh, this is pretty good. So I've been doing it ever since. In fact, the main if anybody who knows me, I have a lot of different cars actually parked in my yard.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of so they're all basically from the 60s and early 70s. They're all classics.
Wow.
Um,
Okay.
except for the one car that I drive on a regular basis, which is a 2001 Crown Victoria, which is actually 20 years old now, so it's not even new anymore. Um, but that car, because it's been sitting so long since I don't go out that much anymore, it actually breaks down more often because I don't drive it. I don't know if you know how older cars work. If you let a
I
car sit,
don't at all.
if you have an older car and you let it sit for way too long and you go to start it, then that's when usually something breaks because you're letting it because it's old and it's been
Mhm.
sitting for too long. So, yeah, I've been repairing my car more often now than when I was driving it on a regular basis. So, like,
Oh,
either the starter went bad, the alternator went bad, the battery went bad, and I, the exhaust. I developed a small exhaust leak because I took it out for a test drive, and when I got back, it blew out one of the gasket between the catalytic converter and the intermediate pipe behind it. So it's like, I feel like if I'd driven it on a regular basis, it probably would be in better condition right now, because usually a car, it's like I said, this is usually only with older cars. Newer cars don't usually have this problem, just because they let it sit for so long. The parts just, they just break when you go to start, when you go to
I
move.
gotcha. Yeah, so you kind of have to keep them moving.
Yeah,
So they
so
don't atrophy. They don't atrophy.
so, but yeah, yeah, you're right. I've developed even like a lot of stuff. I just have it delivered to my house, like Home Depot delivers stuff to my house. I don't know if you, I used to hate Home Depot when I go there, but now I love Home Depot because they just deliver everything. I mean, you just go on their
I'm like, what
website.
do you? Well, you said you were doing some projects on your house. Like, I don't frequent Home Depot, so I don't like. I'm not like, oh yeah,
Oh,
it's grocery store and Home Depot. But
yeah, I don't either. But I mean, like a year or two ago, about at least a year and a half ago, I got a new refrigerator, and I went to Home Depot and they delivered it right to my house, no problems, right to my front door. So,
okay.
you know, and that was like
Did
I
you initially go there to check out the refrigerator, or did you just look online and order it?
I was lazy. Looked online. So
Okay, so okay, I wanted you to break this down for me because do you go like outside to even go for a walk or something? Like even though you may not see anybody else or you're by yourself or whatever, do you at least like go outside or
oh yeah,
no? Not
yeah,
typically not.
yeah. My mailbox is a tenth of a mile from my house, so I have to walk down I told you I live on a steep hill, so I have to walk
Right.
down the hill to get the. And so, Route One, which is goes through Florida as well, same U.S. Route One. My small road intersects with Route One, and that's where my mailbox is located on Route One itself. People drive by about 60 miles an hour, and that's where my mailbox is. So I see a lot of people then, but that's about
Okay.
that's about it.
That's about it. But you do that pretty like 6 days a week.
Yes, yes. I go out
Okay,
there.
so at least you're making a little bit of like you're getting outside, maybe seeing the sun, maybe seeing
Oh
some trees and stuff.
yeah, I don't stay inside the house all the time, but yeah, I do. The business I have is basically, it's kind of like locks me in, because it's almost a 24/7 operation at this point. So,
Wow, wow. Okay. Do you
and
ever want to just go off the grid? And I asked myself this question too. Like, do you ever want to just kind of you think maybe I want to go on vacation and just not look at an email for 7 days? Do you think and beyond that, do you think that that's important to unplug at times?
oh yeah, yeah, I'd like to. In fact, one of the reasons I started this whole thing where I have a talk show is because I wanted to get out of the kind of the rut I'd been in for a while. So
Okay, cool, cool.
so in originally you already know, this show was originally with a woman named Ann Marson, and
Right.
that worked for a little while, and then she got tired of doing it. So, and then I decided to try it with someone else, and now we have you.
Yay. Yeah. No, I was actually thinking about doing a trip like that at some point. I mean, I know it's hard for you because your livelihood depends on you being at your computer, and my livelihood depends on me being at the radio station 5 days a week. But I was thinking it would be so incredible to just go to a place, be like, "Hey, I'm not going to answer any emails. I'm not going to text. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to go and like be present and enjoy whatever." And I know this sounds weird, but I was thinking I've had Papua New Guinea on my mind for a long time. And the reason is, well, number one, it's like it's beautiful. And number two, I've never known a single person that's gone there
New
ever.
Guinea? Did you say New Guinea? Is that what you said?
Papua New Guinea. It's like an
Papua New Guinea.
island nation, not too far from like Indonesia, Australia,
Oh, okay.
there. And I've never known anyone I've met people who've gone to almost every country in the world, and I've never heard anyone say I went to Papua New Guinea. So I want to go to Papua New Guinea because I've never met anyone who's been there before. Is that weird?
If it's I'd like to go anywhere. To be honest, I actually would like
Okay.
to go. I'd like to try driving across the country again, like I did like several years ago when I told you I drove across the state of Texas that one time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But it
And
has to be with the right person because even though
yes, very
I,
important.
my best friend, we've been friends since we were 10 years old, but sitting in the car for 7 days, we really got on each other's nerves. So it had to be with someone else aside from him.
How long was it? How long did you spend doing that?
7 days. We left
Oh, you said
DC.
it was just only 7 days.
Yeah, if we drove, we went from, to give you an idea, we went from the DC area from Virginia. We drove down to Florida. We drove along the northern end of Florida. Was that I-10, I think? I think it's I-10. And then we took I-10 west and we drove along the southern part through Texas and then out to California. And we got to California. We turned around and spent a night in Las Vegas. And then we drove all the way back.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's a lot of driving in 7 days.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And by the time we got back, we were driving I used to have a 69 Mustang and the left front wheels actually started to collapse inward. Part of the frame had actually started to weaken a little bit. So by the time we got back, the tire was actually leaning too far inward and it wore the tire out. So I had to keep on.
God.
Luckily, I had a couple of spares with me, but because it actually wore out to where the steel braids were coming through. So.
Did you ever talk to this person again, or now you hate each other?
No. Yeah, he's my best friend. It's just,
he's still your best friend. Okay, well that's great.
Yeah.
I thought you guys like had a breakup afterwards because you're like, I can't stand you. I never want to see you again.
No. We've been friends since we were 10. He's like family. It's just when we get together for too long of a period of time, we just get on each other's nerves. That's
sure,
all.
I think that's just anybody. Yeah.
So like I said, I'd love to do it again, but it had to be with somebody that would, we could actually hopefully get along at this time. So.
Right.
Now you've been across the world, right?
I've traveled a few places. I mean, I feel like I'm like one of the least well traveled of like my good friends, but more traveled than most. Certainly more traveled than most Americans, that's for sure.
You've been to other countries though, right?
Yeah. I lived in Australia for a year after college, just for literally shits and giggles. I was actually born in Israel. I went to Southeast Asia for 3 months on a backpacking trip with no reservations. I literally just bought a one-way ticket to Thailand, so that was kind of crazy. While I was in Australia, I was fortunate enough to go to visit New Zealand, so that was really cool. Yeah, and then just traveled through Southeast Asia. I went to South Africa 4 years ago. Today, I was actually there to see one of my best friends get married. So yeah, I've like seen a few things, but again, like I have friends who are just like globe trotters, but
No,
I've been to a few places. It's cool.
That's cool. For me, if I went to these places, I would probably be very fascinated with a lot of the cars. I don't think you don't have an interest in cars though, do you?
Not at all. Not at all. Which is funny because I work with car guys. I used to work for, up until a year ago before I got furloughed from one of my jobs, I used to work for a train horn company that would take train horns and put them on automobiles. So they were all car guys. So if you've ever seen like YouTube videos of terror on the streets where people are driving like an F-150 and then they honk their horn, it sounds like a diesel locomotive. That was us. So, and they scare people and stuff. Yeah. So that was the company I worked for. So they were all car guys. And then where I work now, I mean, I work with some millionaires. Like they're not getting paid to be at the station. They're just like doctors and lawyers who want to be like radio stars. So they come in a few days a week and they are filthy rich. And they're actually really fascinating. They're three brothers. Two of them are lawyers. One of them is a doctor and a lawyer. Doctor, because he was a doctor, and then his brothers, I guess they ran into some legal trouble, and he was trying to interject, and they're like, "You're not a lawyer. Like, stop." And so he's like, "Oh, really?" And he went to fucking law school at 50 years old. So that he could be a doctor and a lawyer. Like, it's just kind of insane. So, anyways, they have like, one of them has like a Pista, is a Ferrari, right?
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah.
He has that, and then there's, I feel so bad because they literally talk about this all the time, and everyone is so impressed, and I can't remember the name of the car, but it's like a GT. Is it a Porsche? I don't know, but it's like $1.7 million.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's up there.
GT something, I don't know. But anyways, yeah. So they always come with their fancy cars, and they'll give us rides in their cars and stuff, which is cool.
Did I ever show you my cars?
No, you didn't. You said you were more of a classic car guy, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I can show you a couple of pictures of my car.
Yeah, show me some pictures.
Okay. No, I have to give you some history on this. Have you ever seen the Mad Max movies?
No,
Okay.
don't be mad. Don't be
Okay. It's
mad.
it's okay. The Mel Gibson. You know what the movies are. Mel Gibson was in the first three, and then there's the new one with
Is it
Tom Hardy.
kind of like Waterworld, like
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah, that's funny you say that because Waterworld was based on Mad. It wasn't the same universe per se, but they got the inspiration to make that movie on Mad.
Got it. Kind of like Burning Man inspired. I know a lot of people like the end of the world, apocalyptic times, like, right?
Except for the first movie, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. I think I know where we're going.
okay, the first movie, it was more the society was still in place. There was still government, but it was actually decaying. It wasn't like fully collapsed yet.
Okay.
And
Okay.
by the time we got to the second movie, then a major war had taken place and society was crumbling and completely in disarray. And then by the third movie, a nuclear war had taken place, and by the fourth movie, it just kept on getting worse and worse. So
Okay.
but anyway, the reason I bring that up is because in the movies, I'll bring you a pic. I'll show you what it is. The car that was used in three of the movies, they didn't have it in the third movie, which a lot of people got angry about, because the car was a character in its own. Mel Gibson drove a 1973 Ford Falcon XB GT Coupe, and I'm going to show you a picture of it.
Okay.
A second. There you go. Okay, here we go. Okay, here's the car that he drove in the movies. You can see different pictures. I'll bring one up here. I think, yeah, there it is right there. So you get an idea what it looks like.
Got it. Okay.
And
Now, question: is Mad Max supposed to be in the future or the past?
and according to the first movie, that's funny you say that because in the first movie, the opening line is a few years from now. That's how they.
Okay. So it's like this future dystopia. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, the first movie came out in '79, and then basically, as the movies progress, you're supposed to assume it's like maybe 10 years go by between each of the movies, roughly.
Gotcha.
So this is the movie. If you can believe it, that's actually supposed to be a police car. In the movie, it's actually considered a police car. So
okay, with what is that?
The supercharger, the blower on the hood, sticking out of the hood.
What is that? I'm assuming that shoots bullets or something.
Oh no, it's what it does is it compresses the air, so that you can when you compress the air, that way you can put more gasoline in the car in the engine. That way it goes faster. It's called a super.
Oh, I thought that was made for the movie, and it was like
actually it was actually because it's fake. But it's fake in the sense that it doesn't actually function. It is actually
right, but that's what they claimed it was for in the movie.
Yeah,
but it looks like it shoots something.
Oh, okay. So this is the car. Here's the back of the car. I think this is the actual car that was used in the first two movies because it still exists. They restored it kind of.
Oh wow.
Okay, so basically I was inspired by that, and so what I did was I was at a car show one time and I saw people had them. So what I do is I was able to import two of them from the country. So here's my car. Here's one of my cars. Here's mine.
Oh, not far from the inspiration.
Right. Well, this is what the car looks like in stock, as stock form, unmodified, so to speak.
Gotcha.
So the one that's in the movie, I'll go back to that. You can see right there, that's modified for the movie. So it has a different, like the headlights look completely different. The original car had round headlights, as you can see on mine. So, and so they modified it for the movie to make it look different. But this is my car right here. And you were talking about the price of the cars when I bought them. I'll show you the other one in a second. I paid $18,000 for one and $19,000 for the other. I believe right now their estimated value is probably closer to $100,000 each. So
wow, isn't that weird? So like cars depreciate until they get to a certain age in which it would appreciate because they become like a classic car.
Well, it depends. I mean, you can't get a Yugo for it to appreciate. So If you remember the
Okay.
old Yugos, like or a Pinto, those are
Yeah. But I mean, like, if you held on to it long enough, wouldn't it just become kind of like
a
a
collector's item.
commodity? Yeah, like yeah, collector's item, right? Because nobody makes them anymore. So
Right. Yeah, it depends. Yeah, it depends on the desirability of the car as well. So
sure. And it looks like those are in pretty good condition.
yeah,
So
mine is in excellent condition. So
are you planning on selling it anytime soon?
no, not at all.
You don't want to, even though you said you could make 100 grand. You don't want to sell it.
No, I don't. I'm not really into I'm not the money kind of person thing. I like
But
to
it's 100 grand. But
no.
I don't, I know these cars mean something to you, and like I still, even with like cool cars, I'm like, all right, how long do I have to look at it? Like, they're
I'm
like,
good.
oh, it's a Ferrari. I'm like, oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm trying to the cars they have are obviously like much are probably expensive to begin with. So
Yeah.
oh, here we go.
Oh.
Okay, there's my second one right there, the red one. That's it.
Ooh.
So this one is a stick shift. The other one, the black one I showed you, is automatic. So
Gotcha.
so
Never driven stick in my life.
well,
No clue.
not even not only that, but it's also a right hand drive car. So if you have to shift with your left hand when you drive it.
Oh, absolutely not.
So
No, thank you. Definitely can't drive that.
no, the fun part is taking people out on a because it's a right hand drive car, having the people sit in the left hand side, that which is the passenger side, which is normally where the steering wheel would be. It freaks everyone out because they can't. There's no steering wheel in front of them.
Right.
So, oh, and
That
if you look in the background behind the car, you'll see two of my other cars, which are a little bit rusty. They need a little bit of work. They're not as nice as the other one. So,
right. What do
but
you do when it gets cold? Do you just put them in the garage, or?
yeah, they've been in the garage for a while. I haven't driven them in a while, so I should probably take them out the one time. But they'll probably I'd have to make sure I change the oil and everything, and probably drain the gas completely because the gas is probably not going to be good. So, but it should be okay. It's just been sitting for a while. But the in the movie, they took the car, they modified it so put all these extra things on it, and from what I know from the people I've talked to who helped me get the cars, they said there were of that specific model there were only 700. I'm sorry, only 949 ever made. So
900, so less than 1,000 ever made.
right, so I own two of those cars.
Yeah, no wonder why they're friggin' 100,000 a piece. That's crazy.
Yeah, and at the time I bought them, I was surprised that they were relatively cheap, relatively speaking, $18,000. I was like, wow, because in the United States, the American counterparts like the Mustangs, the high performance Mustangs from the '60s, and the Camaros, and the Nova, the Nova. I'm trying to think of the special Nova. There's a Nova that's really popular, the Copa Nova. The cars like that, the GTOs, they're already gone for well more than that. So I was really surprised that they were that cheap, like I said. So, and then shortly after, after I bought them, then the price skyrocketed. So I bought them just at the right time. So.
Wait, so sorry. When did you buy them again?
2003. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so you've had them for a minute.
Yeah, I've had them for that 17. Yes, 17, almost 18 years. So.
Holy shit. Okay. Yeah. You're like, that's like Bitcoin appreciation, man.
Yeah.
You buy a Bitcoin for $300 back in 2010, and now it's worth like what? Each Bitcoin's like $51,000 or something. Crazy.
Your response to me selling the car is pretty much the same that my dad has about things. As soon as something goes up in value, I need the money. I'm going to sell it right away instead. So.
Right. I know, and it's a gamble, because then you're like, well, what if it goes up to 200,000? Like, and I sold it 100,000. So I get that, but I mean, to me, like 100,000 is just so much money to me that I'm like, why would you just need one car? What are you doing? Like, you know.
I know you sound like my mother.
Yeah, don't say that.
My mother says the same thing. She says, "Why do you have so many cars? Why don't you just get rid of them? You only need one."
Right, I know, and I understand they mean something to you, and like you're excited about them because they're collectors, and they're like your babies, your pets, or something like that. So I can understand it, but like I also just don't get it, if that
I
makes
got
sense.
you. Yeah, it's just people collect things. That's what I collect. So
Yeah, I totally get it.
if you walk into my backyard, well, if you can call it a backyard, because it's very rural. I live out in the country, so it's an acre of land. So if you walk into the back of my property, I forget how, I honestly don't remember how many cars I own. It's about a dozen, I think. So I
Mm-hmm.
have to go back there and count them one time. But
Oh my God.
I have like two 65 Mustangs, a 66 Mustang, two 67 Mustangs. One of them is a fastback, which is the highly desirable one. I have a 68 Galaxy 500 fastback, a 75 Chevrolet Impala, which is not that desirable. I have a Pinto. I remember I mentioned the Pinto a little while ago.
Oh my God. You have like more cars than I have pairs of socks. Like, it's insane.
Yes, yes. So the I actually like to meet. So these are the people that you work with. These are the people that have these cars on the
Yeah, the rich ones. The rich people are the ones that are balling and have. I mean, one of the guys has like a car collection, probably like 10, and most of them are over $500,000. Like, they're just filthy rich. It's actually really interesting. Their father, they almost got a reality TV show. They're called the Diacos. They're like famous and infamous in Tampa. They're like a really affluent family. The father moved from Philly and became the doctor to the Buccaneers, the football team. And
oh
he was their team doctor for 30 years. So he made a shit ton of money. And I think the Bucks won in like 2003, so he got a lot of money when he was their doctor when they were Super Bowl champs back then. He's like in his 80s now. He started this trust fund and he had 3 sons. All of them are involved with Bubba the Love Sponge, the guy that I work with.
ah
And each one of them are just insanely successful as well. So they've built like this empire, and it just keeps feeding on itself because they were able to do stuff with the money they got from the trust fund that their dad started. And then they themselves work really hard and make their own money on top of the trust fund. And so just like they live this really extravagant, all 3 of them live like this really extravagant life. I went to their houses for the first time like 2 weeks ago.
oh,
These two, so there's 3 brothers, 2 of them are neighbors, and they each live in mansions, like and on the water, have matching jet skis. Like, it's just pretty wild. It's just a pretty wild um life that they live. And I'm also just really interested in the dynamics of like 3 brothers, all highly competitive, highly successful, highly affluent, 2 years apart in age. It's just like, the one's like 50, 52, 54, and they're very competitive. And the wives are like all super fucking hot, and they each have like a boy and a girl. Like, I don't know. I'm just like really interested in their family dynamic because it's just so insane. Like, there's so much pressure on each one of them. So, yeah.
so they come on and just talk about their cars, or what do they talk about?
No, they're just like a co-host. One of them is on twice a one is on twice a week, the other one's on twice a week, and then the third brother comes in when either one of them can't make it. So, and they're all very close with Bubba in different ways. They've all served as his lawyer or doctor or both. So, I mean, just think about like being a plastic surgeon, like one of the best plastic surgeons in Tampa, and then your brothers are like mean to you one day and say, "You don't know what you're talking about. You're not a lawyer." And then you get angry and you become a lawyer. Like, that's the level of competitiveness we're talking about here. Like, why did you become a lawyer at 50? He was like, "Well, my brothers, pissed me off, and I spent 2 years in law school." I'm like, holy shit. Why? Like, what's wrong with you? So that's the level of competition we're dealing with these just like super high performance people. So
Hmm.
I'm just very intrigued by their dynamic, even though they're very dysfunctional. But interesting nonetheless. So
Hmm. So do they ever just talk about cars? I'm just curious.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they I work with 7 guys and me, so all the boys are into cars,
Oh,
like you.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so the rich guys, when they bring their cars, uh, they have a plethora of different cars. Are they bringing the Porsche? Are they bringing the Pista? Are they bringing the GT? Fucking, there's only like, I don't know, like 13 made. I feel like I should know. They talk about it a lot. And the guys, the rest of us jobbers will go out and look at the car and sometimes get a ride in the car. Sometimes drive the car. I don't, but a few of the guys have driven the is it the Pista,
Okay.
whatever. Yeah, so yeah, I'm used to seeing a lot of, talking about cars, and as soon as the, like, one of the brothers, the doctor lawyer combo, he's is on like back order for the new Ferrari that's coming out like in June or something. And he's been on the waiting list for like 2 years. Like he has to have the greatest, best, like most amazing car. So I always just kind of roll my eyes and I'm like, whatever. But the guys, like you think it's cool, like, oh, cars and shit, and I'm just
Well,
like, I don't care.
it depends on the car, though. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, even I'm not too newer cars. I'm not really too fond of. I'm more into the classic ones.
Oh,
So
okay. I got you.
I wanted to show you this real quick.
Okay.
This website is madmaxcars.com. These guys they're two guys that help people buy these cars from Australia. They helped me originally. It's a long story. They helped me, but then the sale of the car went through, the red one. So I ended up not buying it through them, but through another dealer, which was kind of weird. But they were the ones that initially helped me get it, even though I didn't buy it through them. But anyway, they're really nice guys. They really are. They're great guys, and they still sell cars on their website. This one is a 78 Falcon Cobra, which is made after mine, and
Mm.
you can't see the price. I was going to show you the price. $140,000 now.
Woo!
So,
That is a pretty penny.
yeah. So when I bought mine, I could have bought probably a Falcon Cobra for about the same as I bought mine for. That's how much the
Oh
price
my
has gone.
god.
There were only the number of these there were only 400 of these made. They're all the same color, blue, white with blue
With
stripes,
blue stripe, yeah.
and they're all numbered. It's hard to see, but on the fender, I don't know. You can see my mouse is pointing. I don't know if you can see that, but on the
Yeah.
fender, right in front of the
They're all
door.
just they're all numbered, so you know which one you got.
Yeah, 1 through 400. So,
Wow. Well, that's kind
and
of cool.
yeah, and it was the last time they made that body. That's similar to my body style. It's the same, like the sleek back kind of a thing. It has a different grill in the front, but it's very similar to my car style. It was the last year they made it. So apparently what Ford did was they decided to, since it was the last year they're going to make this body style, they said, we'll make 400 high performance models, and that will be the last time we ever make it. And that's why this one is also kind of a sought after car. So.
What are you looking to get any more?
No, actually what I wanted to get was I wanted to get, this is because I like Mustangs as well. I wanted to get in Australia, I don't know if you know this, but it's illegal to drive a car that has the steering wheel on the left side like it is in this country. So whenever a person from Australia would buy an American car, which happened a lot versus like in this country, it doesn't happen that often. But in Australia, they would buy American cars and have them transported to Australia, and they had to have the steering wheel mounted on the other side so they could legally drive it on the road.
What is that process called?
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh.
It's just, yeah, they just take it to a body shop and make sure and they just switch everything over.
Gotcha.
But the thing is, there were a lot of Mustangs that were brought over from the United States, and they converted it over to be a right-hand drive car. But when I looked through the internet, there were actually something like 150 Mustangs that were sold by Ford that were actually sold originally as right-hand drive Mustangs. So after I bought my first two Falcons, I said, okay, since I like Mustangs, I wanted to try to find one of these original right-hand drive Mustangs because there's like only 150 of them ever made. And
Right.
a lot of people said, well, let's just buy a regular Mustang that was brought over. I said, no, I want one of the original ones because it was actually sold that way brand new to the public. And so a few years after I got my two cars, I went to these two guys that at Mad Max Cars, and they said the price had already shot up for those as well. And they said it was really, really expensive just for those cars. So I was like, okay, so I can't even afford those now. So
Yeah. So much for that.
if you go on eBay, you can actually see, well, not so much anymore, but you can see like people selling like lesser versions of the car I have. Mine's the GT, and that's the most sought after version because it's the fastest production car. And then there are lesser versions like the GS. Then there's other ones that aren't even fast at all. They're just regular cruising, regular cars you just buy to go to and from work. You can still find those relatively cheap, like maybe 20,000. That's which is still kind of high, but you have to go to the Australian eBay website to see those. So
Interesting.
anyway,
I
Yeah,
feel like you're never gonna be done. Like I feel like the collector always wants more.
oh yeah, I need to. What I need to do is repair the cars that are sitting in my backyard right now. The Falcons are okay, but my Mustangs, yeah, they need to be restored. So that's the first thing. You know, when I get time one day, maybe I'll do that. Here's one that's like mine, same exact same as mine, except it was made a year before. The
Mhm.
price they want for this is 90,000. Just to give you an idea. So,
Oh my god.
the like I said, I'm not going to sell them, but anyway, this is for those who are interested or watching this right now. You could go online, and these guys are pretty good. I would definitely recommend them. So you can even give them my name, and they'll know who I am because
You've done business with them.
yeah. So all right, well, I guess we can go ahead and wrap everything up. Did you want to add anything else?
No, I know that prior to us going live, we were kind of discussing doing more than just one podcast a week, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
So I've just let the people that are listening know that you might get more of this every
yeah,
week. So
and we're also going to come up with a name for the show as well. So
yes, we are. Yes, we are. Sorry about that.
yeah, the show title we were using right now is actually covered. I have a couple of other people that are coming on, and we're just doing basic interviews, and I'm still using the same one. I want Anna to have her own special show name, so we
Me
don't.
too. All right, I'm on it. But thank you so much for having me, and I hope everyone has a great rest of their week.
Cool. All right, bye everybody. Hang on for a second there.
I will.